With this type of price action, it would be to no surprise that COSM would want to reach that demand zone of, let's see, what is it? 297 to about 301. Let's go ahead and go over those potentials now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this is ARCa coming at you with a COSM technicals and raw price action thread of analysis on this Taco Tuesday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so we are looking at COSM on the 8-hour chart here, and this is the right-angled broadening ascending wedge that we've looked at for quite some time. Actually, this is the new one that we drew just a few days ago. You know, my apologies about that. So the reason we're bringing this up right now is because we are potentially at test number 4 coming up, right? So this would be test number 1 here. This is test number 2, the resistance, and test number 3. So usually this formation would actually tend to realize its true nature when it goes up to test number 4. Okay, so usually test number 4 would fail, and then test number 5 would be the one to break out. As this is very similar to what Viri actually did, ticker symbol VIRI, right? So, yeah, you guys, so we are approaching a very critical support zone, one of which we've used several times before bouncing to the upside, right? So as you can see here, this area here has led to some pretty substantial moves to the upside, right? Several times. So even in this area here, it's just incredible what happens within that zone there. Okay, you guys. So just keep an eye on that target here because it shows that the raw price action is indicating that very target, right? So let's go ahead and just kind of pull up our tools here to see what we have starting from the immediate short term. I'm talking about the 30-minute time frame. Okay, so 30-minute time frame is already suggesting a little bit of an upside here on stochastics, and we are at critical volatility, meaning that there is almost no shares being traded at the moment. Okay, but you know, things like that happen. Of course, there's a lot of variances in the market, so it's just important for us to take note of that. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the to the hourly chart. And as you can see here, we're increasing volatility. Is actually now the volatility component, which is the spectrum line, is starting to penetrate that 15% of critical volatility, right? So this is usually a pretty good thing to look at. So anytime that you are upside of the 15% with both the volatility component and a moving average, paired with stochastic momentum with an upside pivot, that usually leads to a pretty nice move. Of course, we're talking about the hourly time frame here, so that's likely to live out pretty fast. But still, it's good to keep that in mind as well. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go over the bi-hourly time frame. The bi-hourly time frame is at critical lows in volatility, and we are also at oversold percentile. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that the shorter time frame momentum are going to be the I guess the influence for the upper time frames to start reflecting that potential upside. Okay, so we would we would essentially need a pretty good bounce to the upside from the shorter time frames to start bleeding into that. So in fact, there is a downside pivot here on both the RSI and the stochastic momentum, in fact MACD as well, on the 15-minute time frame. So if I were to put, you know, a number for that 15-minute time frame downside, then I mean there are a couple targets here. First of all, because I mean this is in respects to the 15-minute time frame, right? So we do have a support right over here that we can look at, 303 to about 305. From this here, then we would, you know, come back down to the area of about 301, and the 301 zone has a low of about 297. So we'll go ahead and just kind of keep that trend line in that 297 target, just like this. And oh my goodness, sorry about that. I think I clicked on the wrong thing. What's going on here? Who hired this guy? There we go. 297, right? So these would be the very bottom zones. Okay, so yeah, the short-term time frame bounces that we can get would essentially be this area here. But when we're getting a bounce from a support that's not an inflection support or a critical support, then there could be a bounce from this zone to test our current lows as a resistance. So something like this, right? We'll come right back up, and then the price action will eventually lead somewhere into the targets that we're talking about before an upside target, right? So that's essentially what I'm looking at, guys. But please remember to take that with a grain of salt. It's not statistically backed, but it is typical for price action to lead in that behavior. Okay, so we'll go ahead and continue viewing the possibilities here, you guys, but it is, it is being suggested by several time frames for us to continue to the downside, right? Specifically, the bi-hourly, the 4-hour, and it looks like, we still have some downside on the 6-hour, but the 6-hour is starting to correct on stochastics, so that's curious. Okay, 8-hour time frame also showing downside and correcting on stochastics as well. So we do have some earlier time frames with some downside, which is why I'm suggesting that potential drop to around 303 to 305 in the coming day. Okay, you guys. So just make sure to keep your eyes peeled for those targets, and we'll be able to act according. So I don't know if you know just yet, but I am streaming in the mornings. I'm trying to get to streaming into the 6:30 realm, but I'm starting around 6:45 right now, right? So 6:50 was, I think, today. So, but eventually we'll go ahead and get there, right? It just depends on my son's schedule. But please remember that I have, upon request, I've been covering COSM. You can literally see the list of several tickers that we've been covering today, right? This is not everything, by the way. It's so many tickers. Right, you guys? So, yeah, definitely consider coming by and saying hello, and we can also keep an eye on COSM during the intraday. Okay, you guys, but remember first and foremost that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool, okay, you guys? But with that said, I think this is a pretty good place to leave off. Unless I have something more to say. No, I think that's pretty good, you guys. I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios, team.